So here, cell organelle structure. Then we discussed about the types of tissues. We finished epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. Then the topic that is left in the last thing is the mitosis and meiosis and cell cycle. So in the last class, I have given you the introduction to cell cycle. Now I will finish what is mitosis and what is meiosis. Then we will move on to the blood topic. Okay. So we already discussed all of these things. So we discussed about epithelial tissues, then we discussed about their arrangement, their shapes, their types. Then we discussed about um, connective tissue. Then we discussed about various types of connective tissue: proper, skeletal, vascular, cartilaginous. And we discussed about muscular tissue. We discussed about the cardiac tissue, cardiac muscle, smooth muscle, and we even discussed about the cardiac smooth and skeletal muscle. Then we discussed about various types of nervous tissue. Then we discussed about the structure of neuron, types of glial cells. Then yeah, so all these things has been covered so far. Then we started discussing about the cell cycle actually. Cell cycle. So cell cycle and cell death. So before discussing about cell division, which is the mitosis and meiosis, first you should know a basic idea about what is cell cycle, what are the stages of cell cycle, what is the complete the life cycle of a cell cycle. So that we must know. So coming to the cell cycle, so cells has been visualized under the microscope by using certain stains called Gram staining, and Robert Hans Christian Gram has made a huge contribution in this particular field for visualizing the cells by identifying this stains. Okay, Gram staining. Anyway, that is another thing. So let me come straightly to the point. So whenever we are thinking about cell division, we will think that a cell will split into two, and that is how the cell divide. So this is not as simple as this animation. So the real stages of cell division happens in a much more complicated way. So yeah. So these are the stages of a eukaryotic cell cycle. So in a typical eukaryotic cell cycle, you will have 4 stages. The first one is a G1 phase. In the G1 phase, the cell will grow. So in this particular phase, the cell will grow on by taking nutrients. So in the G1 phase, the cell will grow. After growing, the second stage of cell cycle will be S phase. So in S phase, what happens is the DNA present in the cell will become double. The DNA will undergo replication. So due to this DNA replication, the number of chromosomes will become double. That means instead of having 23 pairs of chromosomes, 46 chromosomes in the cell, now the cell will have 92 chromosomes. The DNA material will be doubled in the S phase of the cell cycle. So after doubling of DNA, now the cell will obviously become very large, and the cell will again undergo growth. After multiplying the DNA into 90, after becoming chromosomes into 92, the cell will again undergo cell division. Okay, the second phase of cell division is called as G2 phase. So in this G2 phase, not only does the cell undergoes growth, but also cell will start preparing itself to undergo division also. So in G2 phase, the cell will get prepared itself for undergoing cell division. So, and the last and final part of cell division will be cell cycle will be M phase. In the M phase, the cell division will happen. So these are the stages of cell cycle: G1 phase, growth phase; S phase, DNA replication; then G2 phase, cell will get ready for mitosis; and the M phase. In the M phase, the cell will undergo cell division. Now, the complete G1, S, and G2 phase, these 3 phases together is called as interphase. G1, S phase, and G2 phase together, these 3 together called as interphase. So interphase composed of G1 phase, S phase, and G2 phase. Okay, then cell will undergo M phase. In the M phase, the cell will undergo the cell division. So here you have 2 important stages: mitosis and cytokinesis. If it is a vegetative cell, then this is called as mitosis. If it is a reproductive cell, then this is called as meiosis. Reproductive cell will go meiosis, cell division, whereas a vegetative cell will undergo mitotic cell division. So now let us see the stages of mitosis and meiosis. So this is the time duration of each phase. So S phase will last around 8 hours, whereas G2 phase will last around 3 to 4 hours. Okay, G1 phase 12 hours, S phase 8 hours, G2 4 hours. Then 1 hour is for cell division. So it only take 1 hour for the cell to divide. So very interesting. Within that 1 hour, you will see a tremendous, a marvelous changes, huge changes in the cell. So there will be many things happen within this 1 hour of 1 hour of this phase. Okay, M phase. So M stands for either mitosis or meiosis. So is everyone following me, students?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. I think you may feel bored because this is already known topic to you, but still we need to revise because it is there in the syllabus. Anyway, so coming to the cell division. So if you want to memorize the cell division, means just to memorize this mnemonic. This mnemonic is called as IPMAT, IMAT, okay, IPMAT or PMAT. So I stands for interphase, P means prophase, M metaphase, A anaphase, and T telophase. So what exactly happening in this IPMAT? So in the interphase, the cell will grow, that you already discussed. So the G1, S and G2 phase are the interphase. After interphase, what will happen? By the end of the interphase, the cell will already grown, and also cell has 92 chromosomes. That means the DNA material has been already doubled in the cell. Already the chromosome number is 92 in the interphase. Now what happens is the second stage will be the prophase. In prophase, two polar bodies will be start appearing in the cell. The cell, in the two poles of the cell, in the north pole and south pole of the cell, two polar bodies will come. So out of nothing, two polar bodies will emerge inside the cell in the prophase. And what is the importance of this? What is the importance of these polar bodies? That I will tell. Now, after in the prophase, you saw the polar bodies. Okay, that is the important point. So in the prophase, you will see the polar bodies in the cell. Then in the metaphase, all the scattered chromosomes, all the 92 chromosomes will migrate to the center of the cell. All 92 chromosomes will migrate to the center of the cell, and these chromosomes will be in pairs. That means chromosome 1A and 1B. I can say 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, 4A, 4B, like that. 46A, 46B. Okay. So similarly, all 92 chromosomes will come to the center of the cell in the metaphase. This is the major event happens in the metaphase. So after that, how they went to the center means these polar bodies, these polar bodies will extend a fiber like material, a filamentous material called spindle fibers. These spindle fibers will go to the centromere of the chromosome. In each and every chromosome, you will see a central round-like structure that is called as the centromere. So each and every spindle fiber will go to the centromere and it will get attached to the paired chromosomes. Okay, so they will get paired to the chromosomes. After pairing, all the chromosomes will come to the center into the midline of the cell. So this is called the metaphase. So in the metaphase, the chromosomes will come to the center of the cell. Next, what happens is interesting thing. In the anaphase, now these spindle fibers will split the chromosomes. These spindle fibers will split each and every chromosome, so that half of the chromosomes will migrate to the into the two poles of the cells. So after retracting of these spindle fibers, the chromosomes will split into two. So 46 chromosomes will migrate to this side of the cell, and 46 chromosomes will migrate to the south pole of the cell. After migration of the chromosomes, now the cytoplasm will start splitting, and splitting of this cytoplasm is called as telophase. In the telophase, the cytoplasm will start splitting. So after last and final, this cytoplasm will cut the cell into two new cells, and that cutting of cells is called as cytokinesis. So by cytokinesis, the cytoplasm will completely cut into two individual cells, and now you have two cells with 46 chromosomes in them. And these are the complete stages of cell division. So first interphase, doubling of chromosome, then prophase, appearance of polar bodies, metaphase, arrangement of chromosomes into the midline of the cell, anaphase, splitting of chromosomes into 46, telophase, splitting of cells. So these are the 5 important events happens in the cell division. Okay, by the end of cell division, you will end up with 46 chromosome, 2 daughter cells with 46 chromosomes each. Okay, now there is a term called haploid and diploid. So what is the meaning of this haploid and diploid? Now, can anyone say what is haploid and diploid? Do you have any idea, students? What is haploid and diploid? Have you heard about those terms? Yes, can anyone say what is diploid and what is haploid?
Single pair have haploid and
very good. Single pair is called as haploid, whereas a double pair is called as diploid.
Double pair is diploid.
Yes, very good. So here in case of mitosis, you will see two 2n cells. That means 246 chromosome cells. So each cell will have 2 sets of chromosomes. Okay, so this is a diploid. So by the end of mitosis, you will see diploid cells. Okay, so 2 sets of chromosomes, 23 chromosomes you will see. Okay, so this is all about mitosis. In case of meiosis, very simple, students. From here again the PMAT will start. So from these divided cells, they will undergo again PMAT. That means again they will go prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. If that is the case, okay, let me take a marker. Let me take a marker here. See, students, what I'm telling is here we have 92 chromosomes. Okay, these 92 chromosomes came into the center of the cell. Then these chromosomes started splitting into 46 with the help of spindle fibers. Okay, so 46. So when we say 46, so this cell will have 46 chromosomes and this cell will have 46 chromosomes. Okay, now to be precise, in this 46 we can say they will be in 23 pairs. Okay, 23 chromosomes plus 23. Okay, 23, 46. That means each chromosome will have its like this. It will have its body. It will have its companion. So that is why we will have 23 pairs of chromosomes, and this condition is called as 2n condition. 2n condition. That means double pair, double chromosomes will be there in 2n condition. Okay. Next, this is called mitosis. Then in case of meiosis, what happens is this terminally divided cell, this cell will again undergo PMAT changes. Okay, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Then these chromosomes will be narrowed down to 23. You will get 2 daughter cells. You will get a 2 daughter cells with 23 chromosomes without a pair. Okay, 23 singular chromosomes and 23 singular chromosomes, and this condition is called as 1n condition, or this is called as haploid condition, and this is called as diploid condition. Diploid cells are seen in vegetative cells. That means all the cells in our body is in vegetative form, which happens by mitosis, whereas sexual cells such as sperm cells and the ovum cells will undergo meiosis. That means in those cells the chromosomes will be further breakdown into 23. Okay, further breakdown to 23. Yes, haploid condition. Yes, any doubts so far?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Anshul.
Sir, someone removed me.
Someone removing you. I will change the settings. Okay, Anshul.
Sir, 2 times.
2 times. Okay. I will change the settings. I will make everyone attendee. Okay. Fine. So this is all about the cell division, students. So the same thing, I will show you the real picture. So here you can see the actual cell division. So here you can see the chromosomes migrating, spindle fibers taking them, and I think this animation not working properly. See here. So eventually cells will become two cells. Okay, so this is how the cells will divide. So this is the complete IP mat happened in this. Okay, interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and the telophase. So they are the stages of the cell division. So same thing. So in the prophase, what will happen? The polar bodies will be formed. Okay, so the polar bodies will be formed in the prophase, and those polar bodies are called as centrioles. Okay, centrioles will be formed in the prophase. Then in the metaphase, all the chromosomes will come to the midline of the cell. So all the chromosomes will migrate to the center of the cell. Okay, so this is called metaphase. After metaphase, here after chromosomes coming to the center of the cell, these centrioles, these polar bodies will extend their arms-like structures, and those arm-like structures are called as spindle fibers. And these spindle fibers will attach to the centromere of each and every chromosome. These spindle fiber will attach to the centromere of the chromosome. After that, in the anaphase, the spindle fibers will split the chromosomes into two. In the anaphase, the chromosomes will be split into two. So 46 chromosomes will migrate to that side, and 46 chromosomes will migrate to this side of the cell. So after anaphase, you have telophase. In telophase, the cells will split into two. Cell will split into two. Then you will have the two daughter cells. Okay. So in the telophase, what exactly happens is the nucleus will be splitted into two. Okay, and they will get two new nuclear membranes. Then in the cytokinesis, the cytoplasm will be splitted, and you will have the two daughter cells. So this is how the cell division occurs. Okay, so yeah, these are the complete overview of mitosis. So just tell me the stages name, students. What is this stage? Appearance of polar bodies is called as appearance of polar bodies. Interphase. Growth of cell happens in what?
Prophase.
Okay, growth of cell happens in
The
interphase.
interphase.
Yes, in interphase, growth of cell happens, and polar bodies will appear in
Prophase.
very good. Then migration of chromosome to the center of cell happens in
Metaphase.
Metaphase. Very good. Then splitting of chromosomes with the help of spindle fibers happens in
Anaphase.
anaphase. Very good. Then splitting of nucleus happens in
Telophase.
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 Very good. Splitting of cytoplasm happens in
Cytokinesis. Cytokinesis.
very good. That's it, students. This is all about the stages of cell division. If this is happened one time, means that is mitosis. If this is happened 2 times, means that is meiosis. That is the only difference. Double mitosis, if mitosis happened 2 times, means that will be meiosis. Okay, instead of 92 becoming 46, 246 chromosome cells, the 92 cell will become 23 chromosome containing 4 cells. If mitosis happened 2 times, means you will get 4 cells with 23 chromosomes each, and that is meiosis. Simple. Okay, so the same thing I have given. The major events happened in each stage has been given in this table. Okay, in the prophase, you have seen the appearance of polar bodies. The same story, students. This you can understand by yourself. Okay, so this table is important for exam. If I'm asking describe in detail about mitosis, means you must write these points. Mitosis consists of the following stages. Mitosis will have prophase, prophase, PMAT, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. And there is a this prophase has been further divided into two types, students. Metaphase has been divided into two types: prometaphase and metaphase. Or simply, prometaphase means this is the area where the chromosomes will migrate to the center in prometaphase. Whereas in metaphase, the chromosomes will be lined, the spindle fibers will attach themselves to the centromeres of the chromosome. Anyway, that is a very small difference, but still you just memorize it. Okay, so this table you must write in the exam. This is very important table. Okay, then that's it. So again I'm telling, so usually in a grown-up adults, the condition, the cells will be in 46 chromosomes. That means 2n condition. So now when they must, in their reproductive organs, the cells will be in 1n condition. Okay, 1n haploid condition. Here we have 23 chromosomes in this male, and we have 23 chromosomes in this woman. Okay, so obviously how they got 23 chromosomes means here the sperm cells or the ovum cells has undergone meiosis. That is why they have only 23 chromosome sperm and 23 chromosome ovum. Now this ovum and sperm will get fused and they will become a zygote, and zygote will have 46 chromosomes. Okay, and these cells will start growing. These cells will undergo cell division called mitosis. By mitosis, we will get a developed baby. Okay, a developed baby will born by mitosis. Then after this baby becoming adult, again in the reproductive cells of the baby, they will undergo the meiosis, the sperms and ovum, and again we will get the cycle. So this is the life cycle of the cell. Okay, so that's it. So this is the major difference between mitosis and meiosis. In meiosis, 2 times mitosis happens. That's it. So first you will have haploid cells. Okay, 46 chromosome cells, and they again undergo PMAT, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase, and eventually we will get 4 daughter cells. So that is why meiosis happens in 2 stages: meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. In meiosis 1, the end product will be 2n condition cells, and in meiosis you will get a 1n condition cells. That's it. So simply, in mitosis we will get 2 daughter cells, whereas in meiosis we will get 4 daughter cells with 23 chromosomes each. This is all about the mitosis and meiosis. So these tables you can understand by yourself. Okay, the differences between mitosis and meiosis, you can read it and you can understand. If you know the concept, if you have idea about the concept, means you can read it by yourself. I'm not going to read whatever there in this slide. This you must be done from your side. And in both the cases, either in mitosis or meiosis, there are some events that will be common in both mitosis and meiosis, such as undergoing DNA replication, a formation of daughter cells. This happens in the animals, and also only one parent starts with one parent cell. So in both the cases, these are common points. This is all about the mitosis and meiosis. Is it clear, students? Still, if you have any doubts in the mitosis, meiosis, you can ask me, students. If not, I will move forward to the blood topic. Shall I move forward?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so fine. So you just go through these differences, okay? Mitosis and meiosis. Fine. You need not to write these things. Cell death is not required for you. Cell death, I'm just removing it, and I'm moving to the blood topic, students. Today I will give introduction to blood, and tomorrow we can finish blood and we can go to the unit 2. So today I will take only 5 more minutes and we can end this class. Okay, little busy today. Okay, so coming to the blood composition and function, students. So if you see the syllabus in the unit 1, the last and final topic in the unit 1 is blood. Okay, blood composition, functions. So in this lecture I will discuss about blood properties, blood composition, blood components, and blood functions. So I will cover 4 important topics: properties of blood, then I will discuss the components of blood, then I will discuss composition of the blood, and I will discuss the functions of blood. Okay, so let us start now. So first I will discuss about the components of blood. What are the elements of blood? What are the things that are present in a blood? So typically, students, blood will have 2 portions. One is the fluid portion And second one is the cellular portion. Blood contains fluid and blood also contains cells. So in the fluid, what is the composition of the fluid of the blood and what is the composition of the cells? What are the cells present in the blood? Coming to the fluid present in the blood is called as plasma. The fluid that is present in a blood is called as plasma. In this fluid only all blood components will present, all cells will present. Cells are three types. We have three types of cells in the blood. We have white blood cells, we have red blood cells, and we have platelets. So these are the three types of cells we have in the blood. We have white blood cells, platelets and red blood cells, and we have plasma. The fluid portion is called as plasma. So if you see the percentage of each, plasma is 55% and 45% is cells. In those 45%, 41% is red blood cells actually. So blood is extensively made up of red blood cells. So 41% red blood cells, 3% or 4% white blood cells, and 1% platelets. So these are the components of the blood. It has the cells and it has the fluid portion. Fluid portion of the blood is called as plasma, whereas the cellular portion is called as cells include platelets, red blood cells, and the white blood cells. Now coming to the white blood cells, we have 5 types of white blood cells in the blood. What are the 5 types? Those include neutrophils, monocytes, eosinophils, basophils, and the lymphocytes. If you want to memorize these cells, just keep in mind, never let monkey eat banana. Never let monkey eat banana. Monkey eat banana. EAT, eat. Okay, so eat banana. So you should not let a monkey to eat a banana. Okay, so never let a monkey to eat banana. So if you remember this, it will be easy. So never neutrophil, L let L, okay, L lymphocyte, M monocyte, E eosinophil, and B basophil. So these are the 5 types of white blood cells we have in the blood. Okay, so white blood cells include neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, and basophils. These are the 5 types of white blood cells we have, and blood has red blood cells, platelets, and plasma. Plasma is 55%. Is it clear, students? These are the components of the blood or the elements of blood. Okay, so it has a fluid portion and the cellular portion. The cellular fraction includes platelets, red blood cells, and the white blood cells. White blood cells mnemonic is never let monkey eat banana. Never. Yes. Neutrophils.
Sir,
Yes.
Can you repeat this?
Okay, Anshul.
Yes.
Yeah. Blood has 2 portions, Anshul. One is the fluid portion, the water portion, I can say, and it has cells also. Okay. So fluid portion is called as plasma, whereas the cells, we have 3 types of cells. It has platelets, it has red blood cells, and it has white blood cells. Platelets, there is an interesting thing about platelets. Platelets are the smallest blood cells. They are very small, okay, and they plays important role in blood clotting. Whereas red blood cells involves in exchange of or transport of gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide is extensively transported by red blood cells. Okay, then it also have white blood cells, and the major role of white blood cells is to kill pathogens, kill microorganisms. If any microorganism entered into our body, means those microorganisms will be killed by these white blood cells. So we have 5 types of white blood cells for 5 different functions. So those 5 white blood cells include lymphocytes, basophils, eosinophils, monocytes, and neutrophils. Or for example, to memorize it, the mnemonic is never let monkey eat banana. Never. N, neutrophil, lymphocyte, monocyte, eosinophil, and basophil. Okay, so this is all about the components of the blood. Next, Next is the properties of blood. So what are the properties of a typical blood? So properties include, first one is color. So what is the color of the blood? Yellow color, green or pink? Can anyone say the color of blood? What is the normal color of blood, students? Blue.
Red.
Red color.
Red, sir.
Very good. Now, can anyone say what is the reason for red color? Why blood is
So
in
there
red
is
color?
a pigment. There is
So
pigment
hemoglobin.
and then hemoglobin.
Hemoglobin.
Very good.
Hemoglobin.
There is a pigment called
So iron?
hemoglobin. Very good. So someone said hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is red color, and someone said iron. Actually, presence
Yes,
of
sir.
iron makes the blood red color. By the way, why iron? Why iron is in red? Can anyone give me the answer? How many of you know rusting? Rust. You know what is rust means?
Yes, sir. Resting. Yes, sir.
What
Yes,
is
sir.
rusting? Can you tell me what is rusting means? Oxidation of iron.
So oxidation of iron. Yes, sir. It's oxidation.
Right? You will have that keel, that nails. If the nails kept in the environment, means what will happen? Nail will become rusted. The nail will become oxidized in the atmosphere of oxygen, and nail will become rust. And what is the color of the rust? It will be brick red. The color of rust will be brick red. And believe it or not, students, since in our blood we have iron, and that iron will keep on rusting or keep on reacting with the oxygen. Because of that reaction, it will emit a color, and that color is red color. So literally we have a rusting fluid in our body, and that is very essential for to maintain the life. Yeah, this is a new way of thinking. So yes, blood is constantly rusting. The iron present in the blood is constantly rusting with the presence of oxygen, and that should be there, and it should happen. Then only we will capture the oxygen. So see how marvelous engineering we have in our body. So yeah, it's a basic physics with a complicated dynamics engineering. Okay, so anyway, so my point is the color of blood is red color. That is because of presence of hemoglobin. To be precise, in the hemoglobin it has iron. Iron will oxidize with oxygen, and that results in red color. So the color of blood will be red. The more the red, the rich the oxygen present in the blood. If there is more oxygen, then the color will be more thick red color. If there is less oxygen, or if there is more carbon dioxide, then the color will slightly turns to purple. That is why oxygenated blood will be in red color, whereas deoxygenated blood will be in slightly purple. But never think, students, there is no much difference between oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood, or arterial blood and venous blood. Only just for diagrammatic representation, we will keep veins in, arteries in red color and veins in blue color. But that doesn't mean we will have blue color blood or purple color blood. There will be slight variation which can be only be observed by using spectrophotometer, but not with the visible eyes. Okay, so carboxylated or carbon dioxide containing blood will be slightly in purple color, whereas oxygenated blood will be slightly in red, thick red color. Okay, so this is all about the color of the blood. Then second one is volume. What is the volume of blood? How much liters of blood present in a typical human?
4.5 to 5 liter.
Very good. 4.5 to 5 liters. So literally we have around 5 liters of blood in our body. Okay. So yes, a typical 70 kg person will have 5 liters of blood in his body. So average will be 4.5 to 5 liters of blood will present. So that is the volume. Then coming to the pH. So the pH of blood is slightly alkaline, and this is very important. So the pH of blood is slightly alkaline with 7.4. Now listen to me, students. If the pH of blood is less than 7.3 or greater than 7.5, the patient will dead immediately. If you change the blood pH to less than 7.3, patient will die. If you change the blood pH greater than 7.5, the patient will die in both the conditions. Greater than 7.4 is called as alkalosis. Less than 7.4 is called as acidosis, and both the conditions are really danger. So blood has its own buffering system. blood will always try to regulate its pH in the same range. Blood will try to keep the pH around 7.32 to 7.42. That is the range of the blood, and it will try to maintain that pH. If that pH is not maintained, means game over, patient will die. So whenever we are keeping patient in any apheresis or any transfusion devices, we will constantly check the pH of the blood, because a change in the pH will result in shock and coma to the patient. So maintaining pH is very important. So the pH, the average pH of blood will be 7.4, which is slightly alkaline, and there is a reason for this alkalinity. This is slight alkalinity that we can discuss during the topic of buffers. Okay, body buffers. As of now, you just remember that the pH of 4. Then the specific gravity of blood, the total blood specific gravity will be 1.05 to 1.061. So this is the specific gravity of the blood, 1.052 to 1.061. And viscosity. So the viscosity of blood is, we cannot say blood is a viscous thing. It is not even semi-viscous, but blood is viscous 5 times greater than water. That doesn't mean blood is a viscous fluid. Remember, blood is not viscous, but it is viscous 5 times more than water. In terms of water, blood is 5 times more viscous. That's it. But it is not a viscous fluid. Keep in mind, we have only one viscous fluid in our body, which is synovial fluid. Other than synovial, no other body fluids are viscous in nature. So the viscosity of blood, we always must be mentioned in relation with water. Blood viscosity is 5 times more viscous than water. But we are not saying blood is viscous. That's a wrong statement. We are just giving a comparison. Blood is 5 times more viscous than water. Keep in mind, because viscous blood means that indicates it's a very bad condition, that the patient may have tuberculosis infection. Only in some serious diseases only blood will become real viscous. In a normal condition, blood is 5 times more viscous than water. So these are the major properties of blood. So again, so the color is red color, volume is 4.5 to 5 liters, pH is 7.4, specific gravity 1.05 to 1.061, then viscosity 5 times more than water. So these are the properties of blood. And coming to the components or elements of blood, we have the fluid portion and we have the cellular portion. What are the 3 types of cells we have? Tell me, students. 3 types of cells in the blood. What are those?
RBC, WBC, and platelet.
platelets.
Very good. RBC, WBC, and platelets. Then what are the types of WBC we have?
Lymphocytes, monocytes,
Monocytes,
eosinophils, basophils, and the first one.
neutrophil, basophil, eosinophil.
Very good.
Don't
No.
eat banana.
Yes, very good.
शिवानी
Now,
तू तेज बोलती ना बताना नहीं देती हाँ
all right. Okay. Fine. So now I will give you the other names of these cells, students. Kindly remember, platelets are also called as thrombocytes. The other name of platelets is thrombocytes. Okay. THROM, thrombocytes. THROM, BOSCYTES. So platelets are also called as thrombocytes. Whereas red blood cells, can anyone say the other name of red blood cells?
Erythrocytes.
Very good. Erythrocytes. Erythrocytes. Then what is the other name of white blood cells?
Lymphocytes.
Lymphocytes. Very good. That's it, students. In my tomorrow's lecture, what I will discuss is, I will discuss the composition of this plasma. So I will focus myself on the composition of this plasma alone. What is the composition of plasma? So this is the composition of plasma. Plasma contains solids, water, and gases. So 93% of plasma is water, whereas 8% is solids. And those solids are of 2 types, organic substances and inorganic substances. That I will discuss tomorrow. And blood also contains gases, none other than oxygen, carbon dioxide, and the nitrogen. This we will discuss tomorrow, and we can move on to the second unit. So thank you very much, students. If you have any doubts, you can ask me.
Thank
I
you,
hope
sir.
there is-
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. You can leave.
So you got stuck.